This is the part 2 of the video series on problems related to compound interest. In this problem we have person A borrows rupees 12,500 at 12% per annum for 3 years at simple interest, and person B borrows the same amount, that is 12,500, for the same period, that is 3 years, at 10% per annum compounded annually. Now this is compounded annually. It means that it is talking about compound interest. So who pays more interest and by how much? So the person A takes this amount and the simple interest is applied on it for the complete 3 years. And the person B borrows the same amount but at different rate, that is 10%, but in this case compound interest is being used. So who pays extra interest and by how much, we have to tell that. So for person A, the principal will be what? The principal is, let's denote it by P, is rupees 12,500. What's rate? Rate is 12% per annum, and time period is for 3 years. Time period is for 3 years. Now we know that the formula for time for simple interest is P multiplied by R multiplied by T. That is principal. Here in this case it is 12,500 multiplied by R is 12%, and time period is 3 years in this case. Time period is 3 years in this case. Now if you solve this, you will get rupees 4,500. So this is the interest that person A pays for this principal, that is 12,500 at 12% per annum for 3 years. Now if you calculate for person B, then for person B, principal will remain the same, that is rupees 12,500, but in this case rate is different. Rate is 10% per annum, and time period is equal to 3 years. Now we know that the compound interest is equal to the final amount over the 3 years, that is A, minus principal, that is this amount. So using this formula you can calculate the compound interest. Now this final amount A can be given as, by the formula, P, that is a principal, within the bracket 1 plus R by 100, that is R is rate by 100, raised to the power of N. N is the years. So in this case N will be 3 years, right? It means that we can write it as P 1 plus R by 100 is for N, and minus P, right? P is the principal. So in this term P and in this term P, so P is common. If you take P out, then you are left with 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power of N minus 1. Okay, so what's P here? P is 12,500. P is 12,500, and then if you put these values, that is 1 plus R is 10%. R is 10%. So 10 by 100, and N in this case is 3, and this is minus 1. This is minus 1. If you solve it, you will get rupees 4,137.5. This is the amount, this is the interest that person B pays for this principal at this rate for 3 years. Now person B is paying this much interest, person A is paying this much interest. So of course the 4500 is greater than 4137.5. Now if you tell by how much, it means that person A is paying more interest. So by how much? So this simple interest minus this will tell you by how much. So 4500 minus 4137.5 will give you 362.50. This is the extra amount that person B pays in this case. Another problem, person A borrowed rupees 12,000 from person B at 6% per annum, simple interest for 2 years. So person A borrows rupees 12,000 from person B at 6% per annum, simple interest for 2 years, right? Pay attention to this simple interest. Had A borrowed this sum at 6% per annum, compound interest, what extra amount would have been paid? So this is the situation which has actually happened. The person A borrows rupees 12,000 from person B at, so this becomes the principal, that is P, at rate equal to 6% per annum, and it's talking about simple interest. Now this is the actual condition that has happened. Now here it is a hypothetical situation. Had A borrowed this sum, that is 12,000 at 6% per annum, compound interest, now it's talking about compound interest, what extra amount would have been paid? So let's calculate. So it's talking what extra amount would have been paid. So we know that if P is the principal, that is 12,000, and rate is 6% per annum, simple interest for 2 years. So if for 2 years you calculate the simple interest, and add to this principal, then the final amount that you pay after, the person A pays after 2 years will be what? P plus simple interest, that is principal plus simple interest. Okay, this is for this condition. Now let's talk about the hypothetical condition. In the case of hypothetical condition, the person A will pay after 2 years what amount? P, right, plus the compound interest. In this case, simple interest for 2 years, in this case compound interest for 2 years. P will remain will be there in both these two conditions. It means that if you just compare this simple interest and compound interest and find out the difference in between simple interest and compound interest, you can tell in which case you'll have to pay more amount and by how much, right? So calculate the simple interest in this case. So simple interest in this case will be P multiplied by R multiplied by T. Okay, so P is what? 12,000. R is what? Is 6%. T is what? T is 2 years. If you solve it, you'll get rupees 1,440. So rupees 1,440 is a simple interest for 2 years in this case, right? This is 1,000 rupees, rupees 1,440. Okay, let's talk about this hypothetical situation. So in case of hypothetical situation, now you have to calculate the compound interest. Compound interest is equal to the final amount at the end of 2 years, the second year, minus the principal. Now this principal is what? 12,000, and this formula A can be calculated from the formula P within the brackets. This is compound interest, so 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power of n, where n tells you the number of years. In this case, n is equal to 2. So if we put here this formula at the place of A, you'll get P 1 plus R by 100 raised to the power of n and minus P, right? Same what we have done here in this case. So from here, if you take P common, then you are left with 1 plus r by 100 raised to the power of n minus 1. Now if you put all these values, P is equal to rupees 12,000, and from here this is 1 plus 6 by 100 and raised to the power of 2 minus 1. If you calculate it, you'll get rupees 1483.2, right? So this is the compound interest that the person A will pay in this hypothetical situation, would have paid in this hypothetical situation. And this is the actual situation condition that's happening. So tell me, which is greater? This one is greater or this one is greater? So this one is actually greater than this one. It means that the final amount, that is the P plus compound interest, will be greater than P plus simple interest. The final amount that will be paid after 2 years will be, this one will be greater because compound interest is greater than simple interest. P is common in both the places. Now you calculate by how much? So simply calculate compound interest minus simple interest. If you take out this, that is 1483.2 minus 1440, you will get rupees 43.20. So this is the extra amount that will have to be paid, would have been paid in this condition if A had borrowed this sum at 6% per annum compound interest.